I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. But I don't think I ever played glitchy or hacked games before. True, though, I don't like to play any after the experience I had. It's a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. I liked how you get to explore the towns in it. Until I noticed out of my peripheral vision that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox, as usual, and left. I paused my game to see what I got in the mail. The only thing inside the mailbox was a CD case for computers and a note. I looked inside it. I looked at the note at first and realized it was from my dear friend Kyle, let's just call him that, who I've not heard in 2 weeks. I knew that because I recognized his handwriting, and through what it was weird how it looked badly written and sketchy somewhat, and difficultly, like if Kyle was having a hard time writing it down and did it in a hurry. This is what he wrote. Dear Tom, I cannot take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it was too late, and was hoping that you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me, and if you don't destroy the CD, he'll come after you. He's too fast for me. Please, Tom, destroy it for this godforsaken disc before he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc, and you will destroy him, but if you do it quick otherwise, he will catch you. Don't even play the game. That's what he wants. Just destroy it, please. From Kyle. Well, that was sounding weird. Even though Kyle is my best friend, and I had not seen him in 2 weeks, I didn't do what he asked me. I didn't think that a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, was I wrong about that. Anyway, I looked at the disc, and it looked like any ordinary computer CD-R disc, except it had black marker written on it SONIC.EXE, and it was unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must have gotten it from someone else, like a pawn shop or eBay.com. When I saw Sonic on the writing of CD, I was actually excited and wanted to play it since I was a big Sonic fan. I went up to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc in and installed the game. When the title screen popped up, I noticed it was the first Sonic game. I was like, awesome! Because like I said earlier, I like the classics. But the first thing I noticed that something was out of place was when I pressed start. There was a split screen when I saw the title image into something much different, something now I considered horrifying before cutting to black. What I remember is that the image looked that split second before the game cut to black. The sky had darkened, the title emblem was rusted and ruined, the Sega 1991 copyright was now Sega 666, and the water had turned red like blood. But the fakest thing looking at that split second was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding with 2 glowing red dots right at me, and his smile had stretched right up to the edge of his face, and was rather disturbed about the image I saw through it all. I figured that was just a glitch, and I forgot about it. After it cut to black, it stayed for that for about 10 seconds or so, and the weird thing about happened, the save file from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up, and I was like, WTF, what is this doing in the first Sonic game? Then I noticed something off. The background was the dark cloudy sky of the bad Stardust Speedway level from Sonic's CD, and there were only 3 save files. The music was that creepy Cavens of Winter music from Earthbound, but it was only extended to seem to have been reversed. And the image save file when you have a preview is just red static for all 3 files. What freaked me out is that the kill to select screen, it only showed Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now I knew something was up. I mean, how can you replace Dr. Robotnik in a classic Sonic game for crying out loud? Now I realize this wasn't a glitchy game, it was a hack game. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was real creepy. It must have been a smart gamer, but I wasn't scared, or not trying at least to be told to be. I told myself it was just a hack game, and there's nothing wrong with that. Anyways, I shaked it off, the creepiest thing I ever found. I picked File 1 and choose Tails. When I selected and got silent, the game froze for 5 seconds. Then I heard a creepy pixelated laugh that sounded like awful like a Khalifa guy from Final Fantasy before cutting to black. The screen stayed back for 10 seconds or more, and then it showed the typical level thing, except the similar shapes with different shades of red, and the text only showed Hell Act 1. The screen faded, and the level title Vanishing Tales in the Green Hill song from Sonic 1. The music was different though. Instead, it sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyways, I started playing and had Tails start like really doing any of the classic Sonic games. What was odd is that Tails was running along the level 3 like flat ground and a few trees for 5 minutes. That was when the piece of music started rolling down in slowly deep tones slowly as I kept going. Suddenly, I noticed something that I had to stop to see what it was. It was the small animals lying dead on the ground bleeding. This is when the music started to slow down. Tails had a shock and a saddened look on his face that I never saw before, so I had to move along. He kept worrying and his look on his face. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals as Tails moved past by them, and he kept that worried look on his face. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals as Tails moved past them, looking more and more worried as the music lowers. As he moves past more and more, I was shocked to see how they're all dead, like they looked like somebody had killed them off in gruesome ways. A skull was hanged on a tree where it appeared to be his insides hanging out. A bunny had all 4 of his limbs turned off, and a dog had his eyes glued out and his throat swelled. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and so Perry did Tails. After a few more seconds, there was no more animals, and the music had to stop, so I still kept Tails to continue. After a minute had passed with the music stopped, Tails was running up the hill, and then he stopped, until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen, with his back against Tails, his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile flattened, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't spotting him. If he was acting totally obvious of Tails' presence, Tails walked slowly to Sonic, and I realized that I wasn't even moving. My keyboard wasn't able to make him move, so this had to be a cutscene. Suddenly, I began to go in a feeling of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt like Tails was in danger, and knew something bad was about to happen. I heard faint static growing louder as Tails was inches away from Sonic, and stopped to stick his hand out to touch him. That forbidding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away as the music got louder. Suddenly, in a split second, Sonic's eyes went open, and they were all black with those red glowing dots like the title image. I thought to myself that wasn't a smile, but that was when it happened, when the screen turned to black and the sound was off. It stayed black for 7 seconds, with then a white text forming a message saying, "Hello? Do you want to play with me?" At this point, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue with the game, but my curiosity got the better of me, and I was now taken to a different level with a level title saying Hide and Seek. This time, I was in the Angel Island for Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked through as he was scared out of wits this time. This actually looked at me and made me frantic gestures to see if I was out of the arena as fast as possible. I was trying to get freaked out by this. I mean, Tails was actually breaking the 4th wall, telling me to get him out of there. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I could, and made him run as fast as he could. A pixelated version of that creepy theme when you meet Shadow at the Arcus Robotic from Sonic Adventure 2 was playing as I made Tails trek through the desolated forest, trying to help him escape from wherever he was trying to run from. Suddenly I heard that creepy laugh again, that awful kifle laugh. After 10 seconds passed, I helped Tails run through the forest. Then I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping everywhere on the screen with those black and red eyes. The music changes that suspenseful drumming jingle as I see Sonic Tails slowly gaining up on him, flying. Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying. The flying pose that his spirit made was making more and more similar to Metal Sonic's flying pose in Sonic's CD. Except it was just Sonic and the black and red eyes again. Only this time, however, he had the most damaged, broken grin on his face, and now he was giving this poor little fox as he came out about him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, another cutscene happened. The music stopped and Sonic vanishes. Sonic laid there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I kind of teared myself up. But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails woke up in horror. Blood started coming down those blackened eyes of Sonic, and as Gwen slowly looked at him down in the face, could do nothing but watch. Just then, in a split second, Sonic laughed right at Tails and lunged at him before the screen went black. There was a loud screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds, saying, "You're too slow, wanna try again?" And that god-awful laugh came of it. I was shocked at what happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, he couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best friends. Why would Sonic do that to him? I shook it off as I was brought back to the character select screen. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer inside the box, but in the TV screen itself, which was flickering with that red static. Tails' expression scared me. His eyes were bleeding, and his orange fur had gone black, as his expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I paid Knuckles next. The laugh came again, as the screen cut to black, and stayed there for another 10 seconds. This time, the level said, "You can't run." I was really freaked out by now, but I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch or a hack, so some kind of slick-twisted joke, or anything really. But my desperate fear of what was happening next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had the ground of the scrap brainstone, but the sky looked like the main menu. It had the dark reddish cloud sky, but that's when the music creeped out the most. It sounded like Geiger's theme, right before you beat Pokey in Earthbound, but I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid just like Tails did, but not as much. More, he looked a little uneven. He booked the full fall, just like Tails, as he looked as if he wasn't sure what was going on, so I made him move anyway. He ran down the straight pathway in this dark level, as did the screen, as the flicker light static a couple times, getting that laugh come through. Then after a few seconds of running, I noticed several blood stains on my telegram. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking that this horrible was about to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseous and then walking down this bloodstream road, but I still kept going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those black and white eyes. Red static appeared again, with the text saying, "Found you." Now I was scared. Sonic had found Knuckles already. What was going on? Anyways, red static came again. Now I was going back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. And this time, a bad high-pitched screaming voice from Silent Hills 1's final boss was playing. Was this some kind of boss battle for Sonic? God, I hope it wasn't, honestly. Then, suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles and appeared to be pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn and then punch Sonic, but Sonic vanished in black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. That terrible laugh went off again. Then Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again. Then I made him punch again, and Sonic vanished and kept on laughing. Knuckles was panicking even more, and even felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was basically playing with us, and he was playing a sick, twisted little mind game with me and Knuckles. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knees, clutching his head soft. I thought his anger already. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. Then in a split second, Sonic launched at Knuckles. At the screen went back with a sort of screeching noise that lasted 3 seconds. Another text message appeared. "So many souls to pay with, so many time. Which would you be?" What the hell? What is just going on? I started to think Sonic was actually trying to talk me through this game. I was too scared to think of that. I was back to the main menu, and this time the second firebox had Knuckles in the TV screen. His white fur had... I was brought back to the main menu. The second firebox had Knuckles in the TV screen. His white fur had gone into a whitish gray. His dreadlocks was dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too. He had a look of sadness and anger on his face, but I began to think it was just the actual characters trapped in those TV screens. But on the C-files, I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. So I shut off the game and took a break. Took a nap I wish I had caused that because the disturbing nightmare. I was in pitch black darkness and I felt the light given off by the lamp hung over my head. I could hear the cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying, like, help us. Why did you give us to him? Run away before he gets you too. The cries drowned out into Sonic's laugh. His laugh, it sounded like that distorted gleeful laugh. You have a lot of fun to play with, kid, just like your friend Kyle. Though he didn't last long. I was scared and looking around for the source of the voice. It wouldn't be long now until you joined him and all my other friends. I saw him walking towards me, flickering in and out in several directions. You can't one kid. You're in my world now, just with the others. When he grabbed me, I saw his green black and red eye, gleaming face. I woke up with a fight. After a couple more hours, I decided to continue playing the game. I don't know why, but I had to know. I had to figure out why was this happening. So I turned on the computer and turned on the game and selected Robotnik Max. I still thought that was wacky, playing as Robotnik, but as the title appeared, this time it just said ... which I felt very fakely. By this time I was in some kind of hallway. It didn't look like any of the classic Sonic games. It still had that Pixar style floor. It was shiny and checkered like if all the walls were decoratively purple with animated candlelights. So now, on the top part of the screen. Every 12 seconds or so, that red curtain sways slowly, but whenever you're playing the game, you could see it barely move. The music was oddly pleasant, a piano playing instead of rather sad yet peaceful song, but I know better. This was the cell that had pain. He didn't Hill Act 1, but it only was in reverse. Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles did, but he had a suspicious look on his face, like a bit paranoid. He had did a still little animation when I left him standing. He turns his head to the left and begins to the right, and turns his head and shrugs at me like he has no idea what was going on. Even though I was scared out of my mind about what was about to happen, I had Robotnik continue onward. He has the usual warning, and as you know, when you're beating him at the end of a classic Sonic game, you chase him as we continued along going through the hallway. Then I stopped at a long flight stairs downward. Now I was so nervous, as even Sonic was sure of himself. Through, though, I passed onward. As I led Robotnik down the stairs, I noticed the walls had gotten more and more darker and reddish, the white torches sun now an eerie blue, and another hallway. This one was a little bigger than the last one, at least it felt like it. Then we were heading down the flight stairs down. This one was so much longer, and it took 1 full minute. Then I realized that whole end had kind of fell off. Then the music slowly faded until it was quiet. The walls turned more dark, and the torches were back thin now. When Robotnik landed on the foot hallway, he looked really creeped out. Through that, he tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him. I was scared too. Sonic side popped out and right in front of Robotnik the same way he did to Knuckles, then led Sonic. The red stack lasted for 15 seconds, then it showed me an almost pleasant image. The image showed Sonic standing in front of the darkness, where you can only see his face and torso, and faded into black. He looked so well you could actually see the lines in his blue fur, if you could actually feel the flame if it touched his screen. His face. Oh God. He had the most terrifying smile I've ever seen. That's when I saw say something. I saw the image of the start of the game. His eyes were white and black, and once crying blood. There were 2 small glowing white dots in those eyes staring right at me, as if I was staring into my own mind. His grin was sharp and white and demonic. It literally said to the other sides like a chase and a cat, except Sonic had fangs, very, very sharp fangs, like the werehog teeth, but more vicious looking. He had strings of blood and small bits of his lips if he had ate some animal. Then I saw that gruesome image for 3 seconds, never taking my eyes off of it. It felt like it was actually looking at me, smiling at me. That face, it just took me 10 seconds to itch myself from into my brain for good. Then the screen flickered red set again 3 times, and on the 3rd time I heard the careful laugh, but this time it sounded more distorted, demonic even. It went back to playing the image, but the game was messed up. It was pretty much one of those horrifying image games I've since I looked at had this game. I am God. That's when I read this message when Sonic was looking at me, and when it hit me. I realized then and there and then this Sonic was a monster, pure evil, sarcastic, sadistic. This Sonic was a monster, pure evil, all-powerful, nine-dimensional monster, and all his victims, Tails, Knuckles, Robotic, and even possibly Kyle, are just his little toys, and his game is very into the gateway, his chaotic, nightmarish world, and the very hell his victims are trapped in. Suddenly, in a split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, his ears screeching loudly and with his mouth wide open to an unusual length to reveal nothing but virtually spiraling out of the abyss of the pure darkness. Before that red stab came again. This time I watched him louder and distorted, that it's so loud it was heard in my fucking ears. I yelled it and grabbed the ears as the red stab screeched for a good 7 seconds. Then it stopped. Nothing but a black screen. As I sat there, standing at the black screen, one last text came up. Ready for round 2, Tom? The grief laugh now sounded more clear as if Sonic was behind me. Played again 3 times as I wrote that text in shock and confusion. Then I got booted back to the main menu, and this time the first save file had a TV image of Robotic again. The same tormented says Tails and Knuckles. Robotic's skin had turned a dark gray, his mustache drooped and it blackened. His glasses broke and blood was coming out from him, but he had a mere dead expression on his face. I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotic, and quite a bit. I pitied him for the anger they're going through, whether they were trapped in this game forever, tormented by that horrid heart shock, and will always be. Then I shut the computer off. I couldn't turn it back on no matter what I did. I sat there for 25 seconds, horrified what just happened. Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortures people who play this game in more ways than one, and he gets bored as he drags you into the game, virtually drags you to hell. But when he plays with you, always, and his toy. I couldn't get the game out of my computer. I think it's stuck in there. That means I couldn't get the game out of my computer, but I think it's stuck in there. But at least I managed to turn it back on for now. Then I sit for 25 seconds. Then I heard a voice behind me whisper, "Trying to keep this interesting for me, Tom?" I turned around to see what the voice came on, and the voice saw me scream. Sitting in my bed, staring at me, was a Sonic plushie, smiling with blood stains in his eyes.